Good morning from just outside of Henry Fork Trailhead. Today going to be hiking Utah's highest peak, Kings Peak. For a full trail guide of Kings Peak, you can check the link in the description below. As you can tell, winter is in the air here. Not officially winter yet, but a dusting of snow. Most people attempt this hike during the summer when there's long hours and no snow, and I'm attempting it with short hours and snow, so really great combination so far. I'm the only person on the trail in 5 days according to the trail registry, and you can tell there have been significantly more animal tracks than humans, because I'm the only human. And I've been hearing elk bugling, seen moose tracks and other foxes and things like that. So needless to say, I'm very happy the sun is up. Started around 5:30. This hike should take me, I don't know, about 12, 14 hours, something like that. This hike is anywhere between 26 and 28 miles. You can go a little bit longer, and you can definitely camp this one as well. About 5,000 feet of elevation gain along the way. So as I mentioned, about 5 miles into the hike at this point, and you can kind of see Kings Peak just poking its head out in the alpenglow behind me. The hiking so far has been very monotonous, very flat, and very straightforward. There was one tiny little trail junction, which is very easy to miss in the snow, but in the summer, super obvious to keep going on the trail. Kings Peak sits north of 13,000 feet, and it's also one of the most prominent, meaning it has a significant rise from all the land around it. Mountains in the lower 48 as well. Super remote. The entire hike is in a wilderness area, and even driving into it, the closest major town is about 2 hours away. Although there are no grizzlies, at least on record, down here, or wolves or anything like that, again, at least on record, this is probably one of the worst times of year to be hiking this solo, just because it's mating season for the elk and moose and everything else. Bears are getting ready to hibernate, so needless to say, I've been making a lot of noise this morning, playing my phone out loud, which in any other circumstance would be douchey, but when you're by yourself, you gotta make a lot of noise. I'm gonna try to be positive about this. There's two just completely abandoned tents here. This one has a freaking sleeping bag in it. Anyone with a brain knows that that's not okay. However, I'm gonna try to be positive and say that if things went really south for you up on Kings, I guess you have a shelter here that you might be able to survive in. Just about 5.5 miles in. So someone, again, nicely wrote there, Kings Peak is up back in there. If you did want to add about 3 miles and didn't have any rush, you were backpacking or whatever, you could definitely go right. It adds, like I said, 3 miles and also 3 additional high alpine lakes. So definitely a cool way to go if you have the time. I don't really have that today, so I'm gonna take the more efficient way and go straight. That wasn't sketchy at all. Shortly after the bridge crossing there, take a right, and again, KP. Absolutely gorgeous up here this morning. You have another view of Kings Peak. So your way to get up there is gonna be very roundabout. You're gonna go left, and then over that ridge to the final ridge, and then the summit. Jackie and I have been hiking a lot of the Colorado Trail with days in the 20 to 23-ish mile range. And I recently hiked the Grand Canyon, which was about 24 on all things when things were said and done. But I haven't done something in the 26-mile range in quite a long time. Pikes Peak was up there. That was a couple years back. And then obviously, triathlons and marathons, but different disciplines. So it'd be interesting to see how quickly I can keep a pace up. I have a feeling I'll be finishing in the dark, which I'm not thrilled about. So far, weather's been beautiful. This is one of those views that I'm sure if you've seen it, you're like, whatever. But man, I feel like I filmed the same thing 10 times because it's so damn beautiful. Blinding sun aside, here's a good view at your 2 routes. So this is the gully, and I wouldn't recommend this unless you absolutely had to. It will save you some distance, but most likely not mileage, and it's much steeper, as you can see. And it also requires you to come all the way back to the trail. This is Gunsight Pass over here, which is the standard route, and that's the way I'll be taking today. I'm not quite sure why, but I was pretty anxious for this hike before starting. I always have anxiety, but this one in particular, I think it's a mixture of the mileage, the fact that I'm unfamiliar with the area, and I took like a week off of hiking, so jumping back into it. I ended up packing like 2 kind of puffy coats, which I almost never do unless it's winter. It worked out well in the morning because it was pretty chilly, but now the sun is just blasting everything, and it's significantly hotter. As you can see, I'm down to just my wind shell here. Speaking of gear, for all the gear I recommend for this hike, you can check the link in the description below. This isn't a 14er, obviously, but I would recommend a similar packing list for this, especially if you're day hiking it. The only exception would be, I'd say, bring a life straw or a water pump, which I don't typically bring for a 14er day hike, just because of the mileage. Kings Peak is notorious for super windy days as well, so be sure to check that as part of your preparation for coming here. Most prominent mountains like this one just have nothing to stop the wind, so if it is windy down low, 60, 70 mile per hour winds are not unheard of up here. Here's a good view of Gunsight Pass. So the trail is just going to kind of switch up, go over, and then you'll lose elevation on the other side and basically kind of go through there up to King's Final Bridge. Definitely getting a big Maroon Bells pyramid kind of vibe up here with the rock and the mountains. Red rock, and yeah, you can see those infamous Maroon Bells lines of the snow in this snow as well. Super peaceful up here today, about 9.5 miles in, and legs are feeling great, moving okay on time. Filming always slows things down a bit. Yeah, we've gained over 1,000 feet of elevation, I think like 1,400 without checking my watch, but you really don't feel it, and that is a hopeful sign for me that on the way down I'll be moving much quicker. Alrighty, on the top of Gunsight Pass here. See that big cairn in front of you here, and yeah, the trail's just going to continue this way. Look at these views, holy hell. So apparently there is a shortcut here that saves you about 1.5 miles of hiking. I'm gonna give it a go. If it sucks, I'll tell you guys, but I'm definitely in the mood to save some mileage if I can, and from this point on there's really not an official trail, so what's the worst that could happen? This cairn right here, and it goes across, I believe, like right over there, so you can see down into the massive basin here, and yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So I've just been working this side trail, definitely not like a secret. It's very well established, so anyone who thinks that you're kind of treading off trail, it's already established, so I'd think of it more of an alternative route. Anyway, you can see here we're at the base of these kind of cliff bands here, and it looks like it's going to be class 2 higher, maybe class 3 low. But I'm just gonna kind of shoot my trail straight up there. That sounded very sexual. That kind of looks down it right there and then back to the pass. So the trail just kind of cut straight across there. Seems like there's a loss of one true trail up here, but your general goal is going to be to get over here and then hook up back to the standard route. Whew. Alrighty, first views of true ridge of Kings Peak there, summit up there. So as you can see, we're just going to keep working across. There are fairly good cairns as well. If you did not take this way, the trail would have kind of worked around and met up with the same point we're going to. In all honesty, I'm not really sure why you would go the other way. Maybe it's like super quick, I don't know. This is a little slower, but from this point on, really everything's going to be a massive talus field, so just watch your ankles, especially today where my shoes have zero traction on them because they're so worn out. Instead of traversing across these rocky slopes here, I ended up coming down a bit, which might have been unnecessary, but in terms of quickness, it's so much faster to move down here. So I'd highly recommend doing that. Looking back at the shortcut there, so basically just came over the ridge. Looking ahead, so I'm aiming for this point right here, and then just gonna ascend the ridge to the summit. It's crazy how remote this is and how no one is here. I mean, like I said earlier, 5 days since a human signed into the trail registry. And yeah, I mean, it's beautiful up here. It's a little windy, but nothing like some of the bad days I've had. Summit is in view. Okay, so I'm finally back on the standard trail. Took me a little bit to link up with it. Kind of on this right side a bit more, but honestly, it's really easy to kind of get lost up here. As long as you're aiming for the point to the left of this hump right here, so find this and go left, you will have no problem connecting with the ridge. If the weather is bad or winds are really bad, this is a good spot to kind of evaluate your day. From here on up to the summit will be much more exposed and usually much more windy. Came over the mountain and said, holy shit, because of the views. But look at these two. I love, oh, 3, 4, wow, there's a bunch of them over there and they're gone. Love mountain goats. Anyway, top of Anderson Pass, and this is another holy shit. Very, very pretty. And look up the remainder to the summit. Absolutely gorgeous up here and completely windless, which is absolutely insane. So from here to the summit is just over a half mile and another, I don't know, 700-800 feet of climbing. So it's steep, but it's straightforward. You do want to take a left at the top of the pass, pretty obvious, but don't keep going down the other side. That is another approach to hike Kings Peak here. What I'm noticing is that there's a lot of trails to the left of the ridge. Just try to stay on the ridge itself. It seems like every time I get on one of the left ones, they just end up climbing, so you might as well make one climb and just stay up here. Oh, I hate when there's snow and you don't know if, like right here, you don't know if this is, like right here is what it is, which is nothing, or if it's a rock. Super, super careful if you're hiking and stuff like this. Whew. As you get close to this gnarly looking thing, feature, whatever, towards the top, you're going to want to bear left just a little bit. There'll be cairns. There's just no need to climb to the right or straight up this thing. Absolutely gorgeous up here. Absolutely freaking gorgeous. Also, I mean, I'm hiking with a bit of snow, so there is a defined trail. It's really hard for me to see it, but having said that, it's probably easy to get off the trail regardless. So I would just be really careful on the rock up here. There's quite a bit of loose stuff, and it comes in all sizes. Very close to the summit, under 2/10 of a mile, and again, you're gonna see this gnarly looking feature in front of you, and you're gonna bear left. So this ridge, unless something crazy changes in the next couple 100 yards, is mostly class 2. You can maybe get a class 3 move in there, but that'd be really trying. If you stick to the trail, it's mostly class 2. In terms of dogs for this hike, I would definitely say it's dog friendly, but I would only recommend bringing a dog if you have a water pump or you're gonna backpack and kind of split up the days. It would be a lot of water to carry for you and your dog for 26, 28 plus miles. Looking down some higher class 2 stuff, as right before the summit, and looking up, very, very straightforward, and kind of like steps, if you will. But again, just test everything. They should call this feature Death Trap, because it looks like it could fall down and kill you at any given time. Whew. All right, top of Utah, summit of Kings Peak. Holy heck, sound like a Mormon. I just swear, no disrespect. Oh my God, holy crap. Whew. You know, I usually hate these summit signs, but whoever brought this one up had some dedication, because it is a huge piece of wood. So 13,528. Honestly, I had no idea what the elevation of this was before the sign, so there's some good use for it. So it is 1:14, started at 5:30, so just shy of 7 hours from car to summit. Again, that includes filming. I don't take very many breaks, but filming slows things down, as did the snow quite a bit. Enjoy the beautiful views up here, basically in all directions. Absolutely gorgeous, and again, weather forecast held for me, and it's windless basically up here too, which I'm sure a lot of people who have hiked this are very jealous of. From car to the summit, it was about 13.3 miles, and again, that was with the shortcut, so I'll be ending up right about 26.5, 27 miles on the day. From the car to here, about 4,200 feet of elevation, and again, remember, I have to climb maybe a couple hundred feet, so maybe 45, 46 with the shortcut. If you don't take the shortcut, it's gonna be closer to 5,000. So I'm not gonna linger here on the summit much longer, unfortunately, but I will check in at the car to wrap up this video and give you my final thoughts. One last look at this incredibly beautiful basin before I lose the sun and leave this area. Whew, man, what a day. It's always brutal when you finish and start in the dark. Holy crap. So it's about 7:30, about 14 hours with filming and everything. The last couple miles were just brutal in the dark. Had a bear run across my path, which was super sketchy. But overall, I'd say this was a beautiful hike. If you're looking to do a backpacking trip, definitely would recommend that. A long day hike as well, and a good trail run is, if you wanted to do that. Not too many other notes. I would just say the first handful of miles are a little kind of boring, especially in the dark. If you're new to my channel, I do virtual trail guides here in Utah and beyond. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button not to miss any future hike related content. For a full trail guide of Kings Peak, you can go ahead and check the link in the description below. As always, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go sleep for a million hours, and I'll see you on the next adventure.